Hi, this is Bradley Barth with SC Media here at the InfoSec World Conference in Orlando, Florida. My guest is Duncan Jones. He is the head of cybersecurity at Quantinuum. And Duncan, you're here today to talk about quantum encryption, certainly a subject matter that is a bit esoteric and fairly complex in nature. And we know how CISOs have trouble to begin with in terms of being able to explain their profession and a lot of the concepts behind the various initiatives and technologies that they pursue to their board of directors, to the CEO, to anybody who's more business savvy than tech savvy. Quantum encryption, I feel like, is particularly challenging to have to explain. So give us a little bit of a sense as to what you're talking about at the show, and what is, your thesis statement essentially.
So I think one of the trends we're seeing at the moment, and it's been throughout this show and previous shows I've been at, is this move towards increasing use of cryptography and encryption. So we've seen trends like zero trust emerging, which is all about using cryptography to verify devices and systems and people. Now, the heart of cryptography is the keys themselves, the cryptographic keys. And if there are any weaknesses at that level, I think it's clear to see, even to those who don't want to get into the technical details, that if the foundations of the whole pyramid are faulty, then we're resting on something that we can't fundamentally trust. Now, it turns out that quantum computers are a tool that we can use to firm up that foundation. So we can tap into the inherent unpredictability of quantum mechanics to generate encryption keys that we can finally prove are strong enough to support all the layers that need to build on top of it.
Yeah, that leads very nicely into my next question, which was going to be, can you explain a little bit about why traditional encryption, as we currently know it, may ultimately find itself to be insufficient or inadequate down the line? What is it about quantum encryption that is going to make it that much more unpredictable and therefore more effective?
So I think it's helpful to imagine a padlock and a key. So a padlock is a bit like the encryption algorithm that we choose. So you may have heard of things like AES and RSA. These are the padlocks, the algorithms that we rely upon. And then there's the keys themselves. So the concepts I was talking about earlier, generating strong keys with quantum, that's about making sure that the keys themselves are unpredictable and that I can't use my key to open something that you've protected. What you're getting at here is the other side of the quantum coin. So we can use quantum for good, but quantum computers, as they become more powerful, will also be able to impact the padlock itself. So the way that we encrypt things will have to change in order for us to become safe in a quantum future. So from my perspective, the solution is twofold. The work that organizations like NIST are doing is solving the padlock problem. How can we choose some different algorithms that will resist attack from quantum computers? The work that my group's doing, that we launched to market last year in a product called Quantum Origin, is solving the key part. How do you make a key that is unpredictable, not just today, but a key that is unpredictable in that same future where we have powerful quantum computers? If you use the two together, then you completely solve that quantum threat.
What right now are the most realistic near-term use cases for quantum encryption, and what industries in particular do you feel are most hotly pursuing quantum encryption, and then what might be a little bit more long-term down the line?
Okay, so the things that are possible today is we can embrace this new technology for the key generation side, and we're seeing that's resonating very well with financial services companies, with governments, with anybody basically for whom security is a core feature of what they offer to their end users. A short way down the line, in maybe 2 years or so, the new padlocks, if I'm going to keep stretching that analogy that we talked about earlier, they will become standardized by NIST, and so there'll be a lot of activity at that stage to solve that part of the problem. And what needs to be happening now is the organizations need to start planning for that migration, because it's going to involve a huge amount of work. And the first step is just to understand where you stand today. What systems do you have? What data do you have that is sensitive, so that you can prioritize your adoption of these technologies?
You also demonstrated the use of quantum encryption in a space station setting. I find that quite fascinating. Perhaps explain to our viewers what was the exercise there? What did you accomplish? What were you able to demonstrate?
Yeah, sure. So this was something that we announced shortly before we launched our product. And it was some work that we did with a company called Axiom Space. And they are developing a number of space-related technologies, but in particular, they will be developing the future space station, so something to replace the International Space Station. And they're starting to think as well about what is the future of space communications, because they need to think in a very future-proofed way. Whatever they put out there into the field is literally going into space for 20, 30 years, so it has to be future-proofed. So we worked with them to explore quantum-safe communications from space to Earth. So we were very lucky that we got to use some astronaut time and use some computers that were available in the International Space Station, and we did some demonstrations, and I think the first ever exchange of quantum safe encrypted data between space and Earth. So we used the new padlocks that we've been talking about, and we used the keys from Quantum Origin to sort of test this thing for real in about, I guess, as vicious as an environment as you're ever going to come across.
For those that aren't familiar yet with Quantinuum, why don't you give a little bit of a backgrounder and a history on the company?
Yeah, so Quantinuum is probably the largest quantum company in the world at the moment. We were formed late last year, around the time that we launched our first product, actually. And we were previously a part of Honeywell, so there was a division of Honeywell that was building quantum computers. And that company had worked for a long time very closely with a British quantum software company that was trying to solve the use cases for quantum computers and how we can use them effectively. And it became obvious that this was a match made in heaven, and so towards the end of last year we merged together to create Quantinuum. And so we are now a company that is, we would describe ourselves as a full stack quantum company. So we have everything from the highest performing quantum computers in the world through to solutions and products that tackle use cases ranging from cyber, but also chemistry and machine learning, language processing, and beyond. So.
All right, great. Well, thank you very much, Duncan. I appreciate your time. That's Duncan Jones, head of cybersecurity at Continuum. I'm Bradley Barth with SC Media here at the InfoSec World Conference in Orlando, Florida. Until next time, have a safe day online.